right, welcome back everyone to another episode of Water Break at Step Off. This episode, we're shaking things up a little bit, bringing back 4 of our previous California Drum Major state champions in the L pattern format into a roundtable discussion about their lives as parade drum majors and beyond. But first things first, let's get everyone in rank and file by the center. Quick march. All right, so today I've joined together all of our California Drum Major state champions. We have Chance McDonald, Keegan Mccoy, Kaden and Zac Shi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Yep, let's get around with applause for them. So typically on our show, we usually give a single host 32 counts to explain their life. But since there are 4 of you, let's just go around and give the audience just a summary of your upbringing, your career in the marching arts, and where you are now. So let's start with Chance McDonald. Chance, let's open up to the audience.
Thank you so much for having me. I started band in middle school, and I didn't start marching band until high school. Went over to Riverside King, and my upbringing was really rough because I couldn't march and play at the same time, so I got thrown into the American unit. And then year by year, I slowly moved up the block, and then finally my senior year, I became drum major. I started competing in the I pattern world my sophomore year, and then I didn't start L pattern until my senior year.
Okay, awesome. And where are you now?
Right now, I've graduated, went to RCC, then graduated from CBU, and I'm the band director at Diamond Valley Middle School.
That's awesome. All right. So now up next we have Keegan Mccoy. Let's hear where you're from, Mr. NorCal.
All right. Hi, my name is Keegan. I'm from Santa Cruz, California. I started band in 5th grade, and then I played trumpet all the way up until my senior year. I switched to euphonium, and then I played that at San Jose State for a year in the wind ensemble, and then I was drum major at Santa Cruz High School my senior year. I was the assistant my junior year. I started competing in L pattern competitions my sophomore year in high school, then did it up until my senior year. And then in the marching arts, something else I also do color guard. I've marched with the Santa Clara Vanguard. I've also marched with Carolina Crown.
All right, awesome. And where are you now?
Oh, I'm also instructing at Santa Cruz High School. I'm the assistant director, and I'm also their color guard instructor. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. All right, jumping back down to Southern California, we have Kaden Cho.
Hi, I'm Kaden. I'm from Arcadia, and I did band. I think I started in 4th grade, and I played clarinet. Then I did it in middle school. We had a marching band in middle school, so I did drum major in 8th grade. And then I went to high school, and then I was senior drum major at Arcadia at I want to say 2022, I think. So that's been the deal. I actually started drum major because of my sister. She was drum major, Arcadia drum major a while ago. But she inspired me or whatever. So I did that. And then right now, I'm studying at UCSD. I'm a first year. And that's just been the deal.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no. Just FYI, when he was an 8th grader, he was also a killer, by the way. I mean, anyway. Moving back up to, right? Okay. All right, so going finally to Zac Shi, back up in Northern California.
Hi, everyone. I'm from Stockton, and similar to you guys, I joined band in the 5th grade. I played trombone, and I still play trombone at my school's wind ensemble. I'm in my senior year, and I am currently in the midst of the processes of applying to college, and I'm waiting to hear back. But we're just nearing that season now. I've been drum major since my sophomore year of high school, and so this would be my 3rd year being a drum major. I enjoy competing, meeting new drum majors across the state, and just participating in music and leadership, and that combined.
Awesome. All right, so now that we've introduced everyone, I kind of wanted to just sort of lay the ground down for what is the drum major format for the competitive circuits that we've all competed in. So we've competed in an L pattern. Would any one of our guests like to explain the layout of our L pattern?
I'll do it. Why not? So I'm gonna go back to like way traditional. The L pattern is a drum major in front of the band, taking the band down a parade route that would be in the shape of an L. So at some point you're going straight, and then you signal the band to make a left-hand turn. The band makes the left-hand turn, goes all the way down, and then the drum major signals the band to turn around, go all the way back down that line, and then make a right-hand turn and come back down, and then end the band that way. That was the super old way. And there was even a video of someone who brought their band to an L pattern competition. I think it was WDMA. It was a really cool video, but that was the tradition of it.
All right. And there's certain aspects of the L pattern that have specific names. So before you step off your band, you typically start with an opening flourish called an opener, right? And so that usually lasts 30 seconds long, and you should be on your first step, your left foot. You should have called off your commands by that 30 seconds, right? And another facet on the final part, as you take that right turn and you're on your final leg now, you're bringing your band back, you are given the opportunity to salute the officer that is adjudicating you. And so on that final leg, that should be the apex of all your spinning moves, and you should finally tuck into salute for a perfect 6 steps before the salute line and 6 steps after before breaking off, then finishing by halting and dismissing your ensemble. So that's just sort of the layout. Is there anything else that we're missing? All right, sweet.
All right. I think it's important to also mention that the purpose of L patterns too is to give drum majors in their off season, they're typically done during the winter, to give them a little bit of a place to kind of keep working on their skills and advancing them. So the point of the L pattern is to basically represent what it's like for a drum major to march down a typical parade street. What we've done with that is we've actually taken it and we've made it into like a more confined kind of space. So we made it into like an L shape versus just like a straight line. So it's a long L and then a short L and then it goes back. But yeah, that's kind of it. I forgot what else I should say. So, shoot.
I So that's sort of the setup that we have here. It's also important to sort of visualize that there are sort of two entities in California, the Northern California style and the Southern California style. The Southern California style has definitely been always rooted, the all-Americana, military baton, extensive, I would say, style. Of course, there are mesas down there, but it's always been a really sharp, traditional military focus to the look, as opposed to Northern California, where there is a little bit more of a creative factor and there's a little bit more European influence to the style of uniform. So you'll see a lot more Scottish drum majors coming from Northern California than in Southern California. So recently, it's been really a pleasure to see Northern California and Southern California sort of combined together at the state championship. And this is really, the stories that you're going to hear today really represent that meeting of Northern California and Southern California together. So let's jump into it now. So I kind of wanted to touch upon the first time you picked up the baton or mace. I want to hear about that moment and how did that come to being? How did that moment sort of connect? Just a little deeper, because we got sort of a layover of when you started as a drum major, but what was that moment? We'll start with Chance again.
So my first baton was not a military; it was a regimental, and yeah, it was cool. And because I was waiting for my baton to be ordered, so my instructor handed me the regimental. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And all I could do was flourishes. So I was in the backyard. I probably did 100 flourishes a day in one direction, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever because all I had was an image of my very first drum major. Her name was Leilani Johnson.
Okay.
And I remember walking down to the parade route and I saw her doing her salute, and it was the coolest thing ever. And she was in the middle of a flourish. So I thought I looked just like her. And when I couldn't take the regimental places, I would find sticks. I would find pipes or poles or whatever I could find. Our church, they had like these play poles. I don't even know what you would use them for, but I'd be in the church in the mirror just doing flourishes.
Oh, yeah.
So just having that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm on my way, that's what I felt. And it was really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I can relate to spinning a broomstick
Yep.
when I break my maces. All right. So for you, Keegan, I think I remember when you first picked up the mace, but I'd love to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah. I think it was the end of my freshman year, I started becoming interested in spinning. And yeah, I literally picked up anything and started spinning it before I even got a mace in my hand. I think before I even told anyone, I just started flourishing. I thought it would be kind of fun. Um, I have so many videos on my phone, or on my like old iPad of me spinning, like watching myself spin, and like, oh my god, I was so bad. I was so bad to start. It was embarrassing. I looked back and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that's me. But I actually showed this to some of my students because I thought it'd be kind of fun to like show them my progress.
Oh,
Because a
absolutely.
lot of them were like, oh my gosh, you're so good, and I'm just like, well, it took the mountain. You didn't get to see me climb that mountain. But yeah, so that's kind of how I started. And then I expressed my interest in being a drum major. I got more into it. But I started for a while, I didn't have an instructor. It was just me. And then Jack, you came along, and then rest is history.
And the rest is history, right? All right, Kaden, what about you? So you have the family sort of, literally the baton of the family was passed on to you. So let's hear about it.
Yeah, so I want to say I picked up my first baton in like third grade. It was like I
Oh
was
my
this
gosh.
tiny. I was so young. But because my sister was doing like L patterns in middle school, and at that I think at that time they were still doing WDMA, and
Okay.
then yeah, so like I saw my sister and I was like, this is so cool. So I picked up a baton. It wasn't a signal for sure, I remember. It was an American. It didn't have cords. I remember it was like super beat up. But I was like in the front yard just like doing who knows what. Like I wasn't even doing proper tricks. I was just looking at my sister and like trying to make the most out of like what she was doing. It's like that kind of looks like right. So I think the first move I did was like a steeple toss. But, like, because
Yeah.
I thought those were, like, so cool, um, and then, yeah, so I was, like, doing that for fun, like, in elementary school, and then in middle school, like, I got, connected with I don't know if you guys know, but Alan Takashi Riley,
Yeah.
he teaches all the Arcadia students now, so, but he's great, yeah, so that's kinda how I started
Okay.
spinning.
Awesome. That's great. And finally, Zach, what was the first time you picked up the mace?
My first time was also like Keegan, end of my freshman year, where I picked up the mace. Actually, Jack, you dropped it off at my house. It was distance learning. We were on Zoom, and I skipped my class because you were over with the mace, and you taught me how to beat time right in front of my front door, and that's a memory that I cherish because it have grown so much throughout the years. But I remember also, like many of you guys, starting with a broomstick is what I spun in the backyard, and learning to get adapted to the weight of the mace in the beginning. That was probably the most.
So funny story here. I remember, so he had his basic moves down, and he wanted to try a parallel, but he didn't know how to do a parallel. So he he was videotaping himself for video assignments, and I mean, probably one of the best just straight temple shots to the head, but with a mace I've ever seen. But it
No.
was,
I still have the video.
it's a very funny video. Anyway, okay, guys. So thank you for sharing that first moment. So I know that the drum major role is sort of this two hemisphere sort of arena where you have sure flourishing, which is a percentage of it, but really it is a foundation of leadership, right? And that's obviously something that we can all agree on. So when you were stepping into that leadership role, what came naturally for you, and which areas of the role were uncomfortable for you? So let's go backwards, Zach. What really came natural to you, and what was something that you really had to work on?
So for me, I really got into drum majoring because of the leadership aspect. For me, I didn't know about spinning at all when Jack introduced like drum majoring to our band. Um, it was mainly I wanted to be involved in the band in a way that's more than just playing my instrument. And so for the leadership part, I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to, um, I guess, help out in a way where it means a little bit more than just contributing like everyone else. And so for me, the part of wanting to help out and kind of had that definition of being a servant leader, where you're helping out the band, you're doing what's needed of you. So for me, it's really the part of service came more natural to me, but I really had to get over this mountain that is public speaking. That hey, drum major needs to master. And so I was launched like straight into it as a sophomore. This is my first year on the high school campus, and as a assistant drum major at the time, I just watched my head drum major and observed. And when he delegated certain tasks for me to talk to sections and the directors and stuff like that, that was my opportunity to improve. So for me, public speaking was a hurdle I overcame, and it's a valuable asset I have now.
Absolutely. And what about you, Kaden? What were those two sides of the coin? The thing that you had that came naturally, and then the area of improvement that you filled in.
Yeah, so oops. So I think contrary to Zach, I got into drum major solely for the spinning aspect, and then it took me like high school to figure out like, oh, I also have to be a leader. And I think like for our school particularly, we don't have like assistant drum majors, so I didn't have like that experience before becoming drum major, but we did have like section leaders. So junior year I did do section leader, and then I was like, oh, this is like so cool. I like leading. I think when I jumped in senior year, something that was hard for me was just being assertive with certain members. Like I'm not really the most assertive type, I would say. So I guess that was the hard part. But then I think like something that came naturally, I would say like just connecting with the younger members, like making them feel welcomed and like not intimidated. That was like cool for me. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. And what about you, Keegan?
It's funny. I'm gonna start by just saying, like, Zach has been saying a lot of stuff, and I like, didn't realize how much we have in common. Like, I feel like we haven't talked too much, but kind of similar to, almost kind of similar to Kaden too. Like, I really was interested in the spinning part, but also I've kind of known since elementary school that I wanted to be a teacher and an educator of some form. I didn't know what I wanted to be an educator for, but seeing that position and like seeing the spinning, I thought that was super cool. And then as I sort of got into that, I also started to like connect the dots and realize like, wait, like this is like the perfect position for me because I love spinning, I love flourishing, but I also love teaching and educating, and also like, I don't know, being like someone who sets the example and also like does everything you're supposed to do. And also, I mean, like band was the biggest part of my life and still is, honestly. It's kind of cool. But I feel like I was able to really take on that position because of how much I loved the program I was in. And I'm really protective of the group. I mean, I still teach there and everything. And I feel like that was the best way I could like do my part, and it's kind of it. But yeah.
Yeah, and let's finish up with Chance's response.
It's funny, the Northern California drum majors have something in common. Now I'm going to piggyback off of Kaden. I'm glad Kaden said it because I was trying to figure out a way to say it, and Kaden said it perfectly. I didn't get into it for the leadership position. I solely wanted to spin. I wanted to have the same impact that Leilani had on me, just in a performance setting. So when I got the leadership position, what came really naturally to me was just working hard, putting in a ton of hours of practice, and encouraging my band to do that. And then after that, I had reflecting, and with the leadership portion of it, I just knew I wanted to be different than the leaders who came before me. They were not very nice to the incoming freshmen. They were harsh on you if you weren't talented instead of helping you and uplifting you. So when I got that position, I'm like, you know what? I got to do this differently. When someone needs my help, I'm not going to put them down. I'm going to help them to the best of my ability. And those are my struggles and what came naturally for me.
And it's interesting, like just looking at the four of you guys, your journeys through this position is very, very unique. But there's obviously a very common golden thread of true service for others, and it just hearing your individual stories, I think for our listeners is really valuable because it's nice to hear and the things that aren't typically talked about, like when you're in the tunnel and you're gunning it to that position, or you're leading your ensemble. These things obviously aren't talked about often. So being able to hear that perspective from you guys, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. So let's put that aside. Let's talk about the competition aspect. So we're going to start at the bookends. First competitions and then the championship run. All right. So I want to hear the horror story of everyone's first competition, because obviously everyone's first competition, I mean, like for me, it was terrible. Like it was so bad. Okay, let's start with Keegan this time.
Of course, you're starting with me after that. It's me starting. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh, was my first one San Mateo?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that was something. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was kind of cool. I remember my mom was in the stands. I was super nervous. Like, you know that feeling when you're just like it's like almost like you're like on a roller coaster, like that, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up type of feeling. That was definitely what I was feeling. I remember. Also, like doing vocals full out was kind of scary, especially when like your judge was like, I don't know, just like first time being judged and walked around and standing inspection and everything. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I remember after the performance, I was so hard on myself. I was like, I did so bad in that. I dropped. I slipped or whatever happened. I don't remember actually. I think I did drop though. I definitely dropped.
I got like out of step like 3 times and dropped.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Oh yeah, I got out of step on my salute. But then my mom said that people in the stands were like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "There's no way. That's like crazy." But yeah, it was kind of fun. That was the start of it. It was definitely hard for me, and then.
All right, Chance, what was the first run? Let's tell it.
So, in quite honesty, my first run was an eye pattern competition, and it actually went really well.
Okay.
I got a penalty. We used to do the slip penalties, and I got like 1 or 2 slip penalties. It was funny. Right before I went on, I told my instructor, I was like, I gotta pee so bad. And she's like, you're gonna go after you got like one person in front of you, and you know what? The best runs happen when you have to pee. And it was a pretty good run. But my first L pattern competition, which was my senior year, it was very messy. I remember watching the video and I was like, wow, that was bad. and I ended up forgetting portions of my routine. And I'm like, how did I forget those? I never forget my routines, but the L pattern is so much longer than an I pattern, and I ended up forgetting. So that was like the biggest change, going from I pattern to an L pattern.
Oh, absolutely. And Kaden, your first run, when was that?
My first run was in middle school, and then it was at Bellflower, I think. And I remember, okay, the spinning and the marching aspect was fine, but I brought 2 left shoes that day. Um, and like they were white, so and then at that point Gabriel was competing too, and his uniform only had black shoes. I was like, oh my god, I'm screwed. So I had no choice but to march with those 2 white left shoes, which is like really funny because I remember like the judge didn't say anything about it in the tape or in the paper, so I was like, okay. But honestly, that was like the highlight. It was just I had 2 left shoes, my first competition, but yeah.
And it was a good run?
It was a good run, I would say, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, awesome. Sweet. All right, and let's finish up with Zach, your first run.
So my first run was actually a parade competition, and it was the Foothill Band Review in downtown Pleasanton. And it's a massive street with lots of people on the ends, and for not having done any competition, like, or spinning in public in general, it was frightening. I had a good run that day, like clean, but not very good, obviously. And then my first L pattern run was the following winter season. I mean, it was a mess. It was, drops and out of steps and whatever. But I remember it was just so fun that day because I met so many drum majors from different schools, different realms, and people with different stories. And it was just an amazing time. And that's what made me fall in love with L pattern. It's the people.
All right. Well, thank you for telling us about our first chapter of our story. What we're going to do right now is we're going to call the band to parade rest, and then we'll be right on back to talk about each one of your championship runs. All right.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy, and here are your announcements coming from the box. You want to drink up on a water break lost in translation with Cynthia Bernard? Uncover the glitz and glamour of twirlers with On a Water Break in Rhinestones, hosted by Lexi Duda. Get the insider scoop from the stands with On a Water Break from the Stands with Cindy Berry, aka Leander Mama, and join the band family in On a Water Break Family Style with Stephanie Click, plus much, much more to come. Make sure to follow us on social media at On a Water Break for all the latest updates and bonus content. Got something to share or a burning question? Email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com. So don't be the person that doesn't tell their friends about a water break. Make sure everyone stays hydrated. Okay, field staff, take it away.
Let's reset.
All right, and we're back. Let's get everything in rank and file by the center. Quick march. All right, so we are back with our 4 previous California Drum Major state champions. We just listened in about their first run in the L pattern format. Now it's time to talk about the final run, the championship, the California Championship run, the final shot, really, the golden arrow. All right, who am I going to start off with this time? Okay, let's start with Chance. Let's hear your story, what it felt like to go through that final run, and what was that headspace like, and what do you remember about the day?
Well, transferring over from I pattern to L pattern, L pattern was a lot less stressful. I don't know why. I was not as nervous. I was a lot more calm, relaxed. And then, so the year at 2018, I'm up in Fresno. It was in this big old stadium, and it was so cool getting to rehearse out in the parking lot, warm up.
I remember seeing you too. It was the first time the paths crossed, and I was like, "You look kind of weird." You're
yeah,
Louis Vuitton, and I'm here with my bass. It was the first NorCal SoCal crossover in 30 years, and we're just like, "What the heck are you?" Anyway,
I think that was the first year they did a state championship, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. Since early 2000s.
Yep. It was such a cool experience, and I remembered my opener, and then kind of blacked out in between, and then I remembered the salute. I remember in the opener, I felt like I had almost dropped when I caught my waterfall. Something just felt off about it.
Yep.
So I remember thinking, okay, don't do that again. We're competing right now. Then the rest of it felt so smooth and cool and collected, and I was just so relaxed. I get into the salute, and I'm like, wow, this is the last one. This is the last time I'm competing. And because after high school, there's really, we are so unique in California to what we do. And there's really nothing after high school in California to do this except for teach or judge. And it was just very emotional knowing that was the last time. And I was like, let's just enjoy this. Just have fun with it. And
right.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling.
Yeah, so I remember the 2018 state championship because it was still when there were separate divisions, when they originally had Mace division and they had military division. So I remember the military division went through, and then I remember the sun literally just parked right 60 degrees to the beginning for the bases. Like, oh gosh, here we go. So I remember my final run as well too, and that was awesome. It was a blast, and I'm really happy now that they've layered it over now to a single competitive division because it makes things more interesting and it pushes people. All right, so let's see who I'm going to pick on next. All right, Zach, let's hear about your run last year that won you the state championship.
Yeah, so my run last year was down in Pasadena, in the Pasadena City College, and I mean for the NorCal season beforehand, it was a grind the whole season. And for the online competitions that I did before state championships, it was kind of more relaxed because I'm not in such a big hurry and doing the whole day types of competitions. And then I get to state, and I remember that day, gorgeous day. And I just felt like it was going to be a good run. And it was. So when I went up for my opener went okay. It wasn't my best opener, but it was pretty solid in that I knew I could get a good run with it. And then I did my music was kind of slow, so I kind of was in my head the entire first leg. And then I turned, and then it was okay, because then I do my L, the actual L, and then I turn back for my salute. And this was where the bulk of my hard part of my routine is. So I turn, and then I have a parallel that I catch behind my back. And that was really the only move that I was like thinking about for the whole run. And the music hit that cue, and so I tossed it. And then it was a little shaky on my footing. Like I had to shift my footing to catch it. But I did feel like I was able to get like, because when I wrecked it, I know like if I can catch the one I toss or not. And then I catch it, and then I realized, okay, the run was pretty much in the bag. At least I did what I could. And so I finished up the routine. I halted, and I felt good. It was a good run. I felt happy about going down to SoCal for that run. And it went well.
Awesome. All right, Keegan, let's hear your story.
So a little backstory, because this is the COVID year. We actually were like hunting for the best location to film the last run through. I remember, Jack, we went to a lot of different locations, and we were like trying to find one that would be like the most like fit the vibe of the routine. We went to
so just to clear the air on this, Kaden and Keegan were like this the entire year. Like it was like crazy nonstop. It was like that open division was a nightmare, and I would never want to compete in that. But anyway, yeah. So Keegan, continue with this.
Yeah, so we went to, what's it called, Filoli Gardens? Is that what the place was?
Yeah, we went to like this like haunted mansion, and anyway, continue.
It was pretty fun. I think for some reason like it just wasn't the right place. It was beautiful though. We like loved the location. We filmed a few reps there, but it didn't really, I don't know. I think it just like wasn't like, just didn't feel right. And then we went, yeah, also, I mean, not to like jump around, but my routine changed for my last performance. And that was kind of fun. Changed all the music, changed everything about it. It was kind of a weird process, but it was definitely kind of a group decision, which was fun. Sorry, I'm like spacing out. I'm like trying to think about everything. It's been so long, y'all. It's been so long. But yeah, and then we filmed it at a church that I grew up going to. And I actually work at a coffee shop that's on the church property now. So it's kind of fun. Like I still see like the place that I was like, oh, that's where I did my routine every day when I go to work. But yeah, I did my routine there, filmed a few reps. It was kind of fun getting to like rep it a few times and like record it. I think that was definitely a luxury we had in 2021, was like getting those multiple reps. But also if you're a perfectionist, it kind of sucked because you were like every single time you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do it again. I'm going to do it again. That wasn't good enough. And then you have to like watch each run and be like, which one was the best? And you're like, wait, which one did I slip in? Oh my gosh. It was awful, honestly. But you know, I kind of missed like the days where it's like, you just do it and it's done. But yeah, we found at the time, we filmed a few and I didn't know which one was going to be the right one. But then I got home and I was watching all the reps and I watched one of them, and at my salute, as soon as I broke my salute in one of them, the church bells rang, and for some reason they like perfectly hit in the song. And I was like, I didn't even watch the rest of the run. I was just like, okay, this is the one. So I liked it, and then I uploaded it, and then I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And I remember we were like, oh my gosh, like, because we didn't think that we got it. That I don't know. I thought I don't know why. I just like we didn't think we like got like the right, like we didn't get like a really good run through, and then that one was the run through, and we were like, oh, okay, I guess we did get a good one. So yeah,
all right,
that was kind of it.
And that's the story. And of course, the 45 inversion was introduced for the first time in the drum major world at that run, and that was definitely a crazy moment.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that was definitely the day that one of the NorCal signatures was made. So it was a cool thing.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite memories is Daniel Alfaro. He sent me a video of the judges after the competition in like the room with like the TV, and they kept replaying it, and they were like, "Whoa!" like freaking out, like, "Do it again, record it, go back, do it again, whoa!" Like, and they're like, he knew that the whole time. Like, it was super funny. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny to me that was like such like a big thing, because I mean, in color guard, catching a 45 behind your back, it's kind of not standard, but it's definitely like a more advanced skill, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, you just like do that. So putting that into the drum major world, it was just like, oh, now I'm going to put it like in the frontal plane of the 45 and then just move my hand a little bit over and there it's right there. And then everyone in the drum major world is like, I'm just like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, it's kind of funny how that like blew up and was so crazy. 45 inversion.
All right, and to finish it up, we have Kaden's Symphony, the handwritten L pattern in every sense of the word. Kaden, let's hear it.
I think Champs was at Crescenta Valley.
Yeah.
And funny thing about that one is that like my grandparents live there and my cousins, so my cousins didn't come, but my grandparents came, so it was like really cool. It was super cloudy that day, I remember. It was like cold and cloudy.
It was, yeah.
And I think I was nervous, but like I wasn't shaking nervous. I don't know. I wasn't that, yeah, I was like pretty cool. And then I did a routine, and I remember like my left routine, like I had a, what's it called? The palm spin pass, and then you like go over your head or whatever. And I couldn't do it for some reason, so I was like, okay, whatever. And I just like improv something. And then, yeah.
We did not know that. We did not know that you were.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, so that was my official announcement. I did not know my routine, my left. So other than that, though, like I thought it was a really good run. And then, yeah, yeah, it was like my junior year.
I want to hear about the music because I think that is so special. I mean, like what you did with the music, like, that's amazing. The audience, what you did.
Yeah, so I want to say I started like writing it in like fall season, I think. And literally the first part is just like they're like, okay, I don't want to get too like theory.
No,
right?
go for it.
They're like, it's literally a whole tone apart, and you just like smush them together. It's like D flat and E flat, and you just go boom, 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 and you like it's all on quarter notes, and then like you just pedal it, and it sounds like so pretty. And then I was like, okay, I'll do something off of that. But I knew for sure I wanted to do like an ocean theme. I don't know. I really like the ocean. I don't know. I just want to do like an Atlantis kind of thing. So like in the beginning, you'll hear water. Oh no. Yeah, you'll hear like water sounds like you're underground, like you're submerged in the water. And then like at the end, you'll hear like crashing waves because you're like out of the water and like you just explored Atlantis or whatever.
That's awesome.
But
so anyway, just from someone who is watching, when they announced it, I didn't realize that you wrote that entire piece of music yourself, right? You wrote it from like beginning to end, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's he recorded it, made this piece, and then made a routine to it, and that's obviously, I mean, that's never been done before. Never, like no one's ever listened to that. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I actually recorded it like in this room I am right now, and the keyboard that I recorded it on is like right behind me. So like I did all the instruments on that one keyboard, and like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Can I ask Kaden a question?
Go for it.
Did you write it with the intention of using it for L pattern, or did it kind of just happen?
Oh, okay, that's a really good question. It just happened. Like I wrote the first part, which was like going to be my opener, but then at that point I was like, this is not for drum major. I'm just like playing around, and I was like, wait a second, this would be so cool like as an opener. So that's how it happened.
Right. Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So we're gonna finish up on some fun questions, some quick questions. All right. So let's go down the list here. All right. Your favorite move on your home equipment. So let's start with you, Zach. What's your favorite move?
My favorite move has to be, I call it the Glendora toss, where it's it's a roundhouse like waterfall toss. And then the hands go juxtaposed.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's been in every single routine I've done, parade and L pattern, since I've started.
All right. Chance, what about you?
The waterfall. And now it's usually, primarily it's done in the right hand. If you watch the King drum majors, they did it in the right hand. And then I told my kids, I'm like, you know what? We're going to start doing it in the left hand. So the left hand waterfall, either adding both free hands or one free hand and having the clock motion, my absolute favorite move.
All right. Keegan, what about you on a mace?
Ooh, honestly, my favorite move is actually on baton.
Oh, okay, go for it.
I mean, I love some good finger rolls. I learned how to like infinite finger roll where you flick it off the pinky and catch on the index finger. Like that was one that I love to do. It's like the Ohio State baton twirler one. But my favorite finger roll move is one where you do a full finger roll and then you go back over the other hands, but you extend your arm down and then you finish in a pinch grip at the bottom, like between your thumb and your index finger, and then you can go right up into your. So you go up and then around and then up. That's the one I really like to do. It's fun.
Yeah, and so funny story about that is Keegan wanted a signal baton, but we didn't want like the average signal baton, so we ordered literally a miniature like toothpick mace from Moffett Mace. We got it like what was it? It was just like 40 inches, right, or something like that. I forgot what
it was exact. I think it was 38. 38.
And so basically, we made a miniature baton into the signal, and it worked like perfect. It worked.
It was so
really
fun.
Good. Yeah. All right, and finally, Kaden, what's your favorite move?
It would have to be, I think it's something I made up. It's like you palm spin on a 45 with your right hand like below you, and then you go up, 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 and you pass it to your left hand, and now you're palm spinning like right here.
Oh my gosh.
I did that.
Okay, I was never able to figure out how y'all did it. It's like, it is so exposed, dude.
No, I did that. I remember I did it in like my sophomore routine, I think. But yeah, that's had to be my favorite move.
All right. So now that we have favorite moves out of the way, what is being a parade drum major without having a favorite march? Keegan, what's your favorite march?
Oh my gosh, I haven't. Oh god, this changes. Hold on, let me look. I have like marches. I just got like like March Madness, like the John Philip Sousa thing. I put like the stickers on the back of my laptop just now. Let me look at some of these.
That's awesome.
I've got the Boys Yellow Brigade, HM Jollies, Pathfinder Panama, Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. Out of those, Boys Yellow Brigade's pretty dang good. I like that one. I played it in high school. It's pretty fun.
Pretty toasty, I'd have to say. All right, Chance.
Oh man, I love Dr. Colette Hawsey's work. Marsh Minor is probably my top favorite, and with Stars and Stripes right next to it. But I love Marsh Minor. It's this march in a minor key. So it was written for this guy, Benton Minor. He was a college professor down here. And all of his students who were in college won the Arcadia Band Review. They're called the Benton Boys. So the history behind the march is so cool. But Dr. Colette Hawsey wrote it with hints of Army of the Nile embedded into it. It's just such a brilliant march. So yeah, that'd be it.
Quite the Riverside King response. All right.
Yeah. I said it
twice. Zach, what's your favorite march?
My favorite march is probably Shrewsbury Fair. I just love the low brass feature. It's just so powerful. And I remember first hearing it when Diamond Bar played it like 2 or 3 years ago. And they just played it on the street so dang well. And I was just like, I was shocked. I was like, wow, I didn't know low brass could sound like that.
Right. All right. And Kaden, what's your favorite march?
Oh, I have like a top 3. Okay, so I think
What's in third place?
There's one that we did a long time ago. I wasn't even born. No, I was born. I wasn't there though. It's called Washington Grays.
Yes.
And then there's another one we did recently, March of the Women Marines. That one's a little bit more popular. And then the one my sister did, March Grandioso, I think. Yeah, those 3 are my favorite.
All right. So, with all these awesome concepts that we've been able to talk about, I couldn't ask a better group of individuals this question. Where do you see the drum major art form going in the future? Kaden, I want us to start with you.
Oh,
where do you want to see the drum major art form go?
That's okay. I really want. I feel like this is already happening, but typically when you do parade, we don't do a lot of like tricky, like cool stuff. But yeah, like I just want to see in the future like more people adding, because I know like people can do it, but I feel like it's just it's a little bit taboo. So I just want to see like people do like the really cool tricks that they do in L patterns. I mean, it's already happening, but I want to see that more.
Absolutely. Yeah. On the street. Absolutely.
Yes.
And so Keegan, what about you? Where do you want to see the drum major art form go?
Ooh. I mean, obviously I'm someone who's like went from drum majoring to color guard. So it probably seems like I'd be someone who's going to be like, I want to see like more body quality and more like dancing on the street. No, I don't. I'm definitely not like that. I don't want like the drum majors to boogie down the street or anything. Though that would be kind of fun to watch. I mean, like if it was like a like an actual parade and not like a competitive parade, but that'd be really entertaining. I would. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I would say I really want to see like, oh, that's hard. I don't know. I want to see it evolve more, like with flourishing, and see drum majors continue to like add on to ideas that have been built from their past. But I also do want to see that foundation of what it means to be a drum major continuing, like through the aspect of leadership and really doing that even on the street, like through like your body presence, your performance quality, your attitude, like making sure that those things stay consistent, even if we do expand on those things, and making sure that it's always going to be execution. I mean, yes, execution over content. Yeah.
All right. And then, Chance, where do you see the drum major art form going, and where do you want to see it go?
I am fearful that we could possibly start losing specifically the parade aspect of it. Oh my gosh, Arcadia used that street for 40 years, and then all of a sudden it got moved streets. And I keep bringing him up, but I'm still in contact with the Hozzies, and Mr. Hozzie was telling me how we probably will never go back to that street, Baldwin Boulevard. And we've lost these great band reviews like the Western Band Review and all that stuff. And I'm just hopeful that we don't lose it. And I think arguably the drum majoring arts is what's keeping Parade alive. It's kind of enticing the directors to keep doing it because they're going to have a few upset kids if they cancel parades. And I don't want to lose the tradition behind it, because what our drum majoring is so unique that we don't move our bodies, yet we have this thing spinning around us and we can't even see what's going on. All we see is these swirls and this toss, and the body's completely still. And I think that's what wows people so much, is that we can stay still and not do that. So I hope it stays alive, and I hope we keep introducing these new tricks, because we need to evolve while keeping the tradition.
Absolutely. Right. And finally, Zac Shi, where do you see the drum major art form going, and what do you want to see happen to the art form?
I see this drum major art form being so competitive, and I love that, because competition is what fosters these new ideas and these new tricks and new traditions even. What I've noticed is here in Northern California this season, with the scholastic or the majors division spinners, they are so dang good. Like, it is so competitive, and they would have smoked the open class my first year. I mean, it's just, as we evolve more and we're returning from COVID, I feel like there's a spark that it's kind of lit. I haven't seen the world before COVID, but what I've seen after COVID is there's a spark that everyone wants to improve, that everyone wants to get better. And that competition is already, I'm seeing it already throughout the season, fostering these new moves and these new, this new music ideas, these new changes of uniforms and stuff like that. But I agree with Chance. I hope the tradition, which is one of the biggest contributors to this art form, is the history, the traditions, and the passed down, even like oral stories. And I hope that will change or will stay. And I know that as the drum majors progress and move on, that is one thing that will stay constant, is the traditions, the stories, because that's really what defines this art form, I feel like. But I feel like the competition, that's only going to get more vigorous throughout these years. I hope that continues. That's what fosters this immense skill, determination, and what this art form is ultimately about.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think there's an excellent middle ground that can be struck, because I feel like we need that foundation as our guiding light, because that is our foundation that we build everything off of. But I think there's opportunity to take performance to a different location through music. I think there's so much opportunity for storytelling through music, through different parts of the yell pattern, right? Like you can still have perfect posture, and you should have perfect posture, but your music can be changing, right? And it should make sense, and you should have signals for those changes, right? As dictated by our foundation. But you can tell a story through different ideas through music. And I think that's a really cool space that hasn't been completely explored yet. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to the four of you. You are all just outstanding individuals. I'm so grateful to have met you through this art form and seeing the fire and passion for this activity burn bright in each one of you nonstop. I mean, that means the world to me. And I'm so grateful to have all of you guys as friends. I just wanted to plug you guys. Can they find you on Instagram, Chance? Or can they find can any of our audience find you on Instagram?
Yes, it is all lowercase. It's drum major _2018.
All right.
The drum major.
All right. Kaden, where can they find you?
Kaden.cho or selfless shame plug my Spotify.
Go check out his music.
Yes.
All right. And Zach, where can they find you?
Instagram at Zac.Shi.
And finally, Keegan?
You can find my Instagram. Keegan McCoy was taken, so it's Keegies with a Z. So Keegiez. Yep, had that since middle school. Never changed it. Still want to change it, but for now, check it out.
All right. So to finish this off, let's call this band to dismissal. Band, you are dismissed. Make sure that you all listen into another episode of On a Water Break. In the next coming weeks, we'll be working with our entire host group on a variety of different marching arts topics. All right. Thank you all again. Peace out.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.